program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Music so good, you simply just want to keep dancing. Local is lekker, Marsha with a lig mee op. I think it made the number one position in our top 20 countdown. Or number two, my apologies.
Number one for the second time in a row.
Yeah, in a row. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's number one, but yes, thank you. And then also Chad Prince with Make Away. It features Sevi Music Kid. Also Joy Celebration with Wenza Kwenze. You make all things happen. And then you also heard the sounds there of The Soil with Joy. Beautiful worship before the news. A triple play. You heard the spirit of praise with a song there titled Let Your Living Waters, as well as Neville D with the Was Net Sy Liefde. Nathaniel Bassi, of course, leading us to the news with You Are Here. Beautiful, beautiful music. Thank you for your messages. We see them. Auntie Enid, we see a voice note coming through. Jeanette Glynis. We also have the number ending in 30625. I think it's Cindy. Shamila as well. Mr. Nigel. Lawrence November. We see your messages. Keep them coming. 061 798 1075. 24 minutes after 4 o'clock. It means it's time for what, Mr. Romeo?
Yo, it means that it is talk time with Tina. You absolutely love this segment. Of course, we've got the Cupidos in studio and we chat on different conversations, also some life lessons, and just reflection that we always have on this. Of course, if we're also live on Facebook and YouTube as well, so you can also hop over to Facebook and YouTube, drop your comments in there to catch the action live. And for us who have it here in HD, we want to say good afternoon to the Cupidos.
They must
yes,
answer.
Well, I thought okay. The Cupidos changed. Good afternoon, Natasha, Romeo, CCFM. It's good to be back.
Welcome back after the break that we had.
Yes.
How are you feeling and how's the spirits?
I'm okay.
Mm-hmm.
I could be better, but it's just one of those days. There's
I
no
agree.
reason. There's nothing. No one hurt my feelings. Nothing went wrong. It's just one of those days.
Yeah,
But I'm here
you hear.
and I see your faces.
Yes.
So I'm good.
And she
I'm
brought us
good.
some treats.
And
And I brought muffins. I didn't want to be the one to say it, but I brought muffins.
Mr. Cupido, how are you doing, sir?
No, I'm good, thanks, man.
Yeah.
I'm also a good. I think I'm also 8 out of 10. Normally I'm 10,
Yes, sir.
but that other two, I think I lost that other two somewhere in the shop when I, lost some patience with some
Not gonna mention
some
names.
procedures and some systems and processes. But furthermore, we're here. Tomorrow's a public holiday. Yeah,
Yes.
life is.
I
Yeah,
love
no, it's all good. I'm all good, thanks. Nice to see you guys again.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys. Such a nice vibe in studio. And I'm not just saying that because there's muffins. It really is always a nice vibe when the Cupidos join us. Listen, join the conversation. A very interesting topic that we're talking about. Now, as you know, we started off with the theme of seasons. And so staying in that theme, today we're unpacking, when you find yourself in a pivot position or when things suddenly just, turn a whole 360 and it changes directions and you are, I suppose, feeling some sort of setback and you're unsure where you find yourself. And it's all part of the changing of seasons. It's all part of the transitioning. And so some of the things that we'll be touching on is, realignment, especially when you find yourself in a new season, what that means, and also wisdom versus worldly understanding, sharing some of our stories and our personal experiences. So please do join in on the conversation. As Romeo has said, we are live on YouTube as well as Facebook. That's CCFM 107.5, 96.7. I'm going to get into it, but before I get into the question at hand, this was so significant for me because I think I found myself in a position where I was realigned, and I think in a changing season. So I was in corporate for the longest time, left the corporate space, and I came to CCFM full time. Did the 9 to 12. Beautiful. I mean, it was a beautiful year of just serving and ministry. I genuinely felt like I saw God's hand in my life in every sense of that word. I grew spiritually. There was a sense of peace, literally from the first day of the program right until the end, saying goodbye. And so I then also made the decision to, and this is interesting because I thought that God was saying no. your time is up. You must go back to the corporate space. Because in my mind, I so desperately wanted it to be him. You know,
Yeah.
I put some pros and cons in front of me, and I went, well, I love serving. Ministry is my life, but I got bills to pay.
Mm.
You know, and so in hindsight, practically it made sense.
Yes.
And so did the move, the setback, and my heart was not I was not at peace in that duration of my time away. And in as much as there was, you know, the fruits that I was seeing financially, I was seeing the changes, but my heart was just not at peace. I felt like there was a piece missing. And I needed to go back and serve. I needed to go back in what I believe is my God-given purpose, and that is to minister using my voice, you know, and my story and my testimony. And so I prayed about it, and now I find myself back at CCFM, which is fantastic. I'm happy, you know, and I'm like, thank you, Jesus. And now I'm convinced, you know, it's his voice, and I'm back home and where I belong. But I think we often have times where we go, yo, but am I still serving you the right way? And we always compare situations. We always compare seasons, I feel. And that's my story in this instance, where I'm going, am I fulfilling my purpose? Like, I am serving, I'm back, but is it to your glory? You know, constantly doubting myself. And so that's the purpose of this conversation. I don't know if you found yourself in that situation. Maybe you find yourself in changing seasons and you're going, it's a setback, you know. Did I hear God's voice? First of all, was it the correct voice? And in this pivot or in this realignment, am I still fulfilling God's purpose? So that's my story. It's a mouthful, I know, but I hope it made sense.
Perfect sense.
Yeah. Having said that, Tina, how do we discern between, you know, a temporary setback, which I think that was my instance or my situation, and a genuine call to pivot in our lives?
Before I answer that question, I actually found this. I went on Facebook, and Facebook give you memories. And I shared this quote in 2015 that Bill Winston actually said. He said, people are in provision mode rather than purpose mode. And I was like, ouch.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we have a view of when we serve God, the picture must look like, you know, sunny skies all the time and budding roses. And that isn't always true. And when it doesn't look like that, we question whether we are actually following him. Did we actually hear his voice? Just because the picture looks skewed, and or others that are not following his word, they look like they are more prosperous than we are. And the fruit that we think we need to see, they are having in their lives. And when am I going to get there? So we judge our purpose and our seasons based on other people. But Craig actually shared something with me today, this morning. And I thought it was such a beautiful example. So in your question is, how do we discern, right, between temporary setback and a genuine call?
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to talk about is this word discern. So you used a beautiful example, and it made sense to me. So I used to work at a bank. So I was a facilitator, and I needed to train the tellers how to become tellers, you know, how to cash checks, how to, okay, we don't really do checks now, but how to deposit money, withdraw money, and all of those things. And one of the things we taught was the security features of banknotes. So if they got money, they needed to know this animal must be on there. This is the color of the note. This is the size of the note. Each note has security. What is this thing? A barcode, a serial number. It's got intaglio printing. That was one of my favorite words today. But we didn't really teach them a lot about fake notes, because counterfeit notes, the person is always trying to change. So once Natasha makes a counterfeit note, and now we figured it out, she can't keep on presenting that counterfeit note. She now needs to make another one. But in order for me or the teller to know that that note is counterfeit, they need to know the real note. They need to know all the qualities, all the security features of that real note, so that doesn't matter what counterfeit version comes, they will be able to pick it up because it's different to what the real thing is. So discernment stems from knowing what is the real thing. So the real thing, or the real voice we must listen to, is God. So everything else that comes our way is a counterfeit. But we only know the counterfeit if we truly know the real thing.
Love
And
that.
how you truly know the real thing is when you completely study this. If I'm not really using the banknote, you completely studying this note inside and out. There's loads of security features. There's ones you only see under UV light. There's ones that only lights up in a certain way. But you will only know that the more you know the real thing.
Yeah.
So for me to know and discern, I need to know God and His plan, right? And then I heard something else today, and it said, our issue is, as human beings, we like certainty.
Yes.
But the opposite of faith isn't doubt. The opposite of faith is certainty. So if I, in my natural state, long to know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
and God is saying, I need you to trust 1, skip all the numbers to 100, but I'm looking for that certainty and that logic and that understanding and that knowing of after 1 comes 2.
Yes.
We can't, as Christians, live in a certainty. The only certainty we have is
In God.
God.
Mm.
But we will never know His plan every single day. So if He's given you something that you must do, that is the focus. But how you get there, I don't want to say shouldn't matter, because we are questioning the how we're going to get there.
Yes.
We are questioning the ways that He uses. We are questioning, why must this look like this?
Mm.
That is what we're questioning. Our certainty is in the knowing who He is and the plan that He has for us. So when you have the setback, what I liked about your story was you didn't stay long in your setback.
Yes.
So the key about adapting or changing is knowing the speed at which you need to change.
Mm.
So you could have gone, oh, I made this bad decision. Oh, let me wallow and let me see if I can stay longer at this corporate,
Yes.
make it work. Because
Yes.
at the end of the day, I'm paying school fees, I got
Mm.
food to eat, blah, blah, blah. And I get to go out from time to time. And you could have stayed longer in a season or in a setback
Absolutely.
that you weren't supposed to.
Absolutely.
So the key is that you knew
Mm.
this is not where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
How do I get back? So don't wallow where you were.
Mm.
Pivot is, how do I now look at what there is and how do I change my strategy? So our example, so Cupido Consulting is like 4 years old, right? So when you start, you fired up, you're pumped up because you believe in your product and you want to
Yes.
just put it out there and you push it out there. So we put out a course, a business course, and so now I'm in this networking group. Look here, man, and they don't talk 100 rand per person. No. They do workshops where it's 4,000 rand per
Yes,
person.
yes.
So I'm in that world. So now I'm like, oh gosh. So now we put out this course. It's 5,000 rand per person, and let me tell you, it is way more worth that because we're going to give you all sorts of things. Look here, now we need 10 people. We get a venue, and the venue is nogals free, a quiet boardroom and everything. We need 10 people. We're like,
10.
easy peasy.
Yeah, small number.
Ay, shame. Craig is busy cold calling people,
Wow.
close to harassing the
sales.
people. You know how many people we got?
No.
One.
Wow.
One. So now we go, okay, we just let's throw Cupido Consulting away. No, why would we do that?
Yeah.
The vision and the purpose and the plan of Cupido Consulting was very much still there. It was very much in our souls. Was it horrible and deflating that no one believed in the product? Absolutely. But now we get to sit and wallow, or we get to go, okay, we maybe came out of the gate too fast with that one. How do we now pivot and change our strategy?
Yeah.
But it's in the knowing. You have to know that it is temporary, man. Sometimes setbacks is self-made. I was thinking about David,
Mhm.
King David, who saw Bathsheba and said, hey, what's up? Chilling over there. I killed your husband. Let's make a baby, right?
Mm.
Own doing. He came back. He turned away. He repented and God could still use him.
Yeah.
Then there's Job. Job was just like doing the stuff of the Lord, man. He was like in the peak. He was serving God, and Jesus was like, "Yeah, let's try Job." Lost everything in an instant. Horrible setback.
Yeah.
So there's times when it's God, and there's times when it's our own doing. But the point is, when you're in a setback, is not to lose God, man.
Mm.
You mustn't now go like, "Oh well, might as well throw this God thing away."
Right.
Just because life isn't working out. No.
Yeah.
So that was a very long roundabout answer. But the point is, to discern is knowing God. And when you know God, you will trust his ways, man. Whether we understand it or we don't understand it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Sure. Currently, we're having talk time with Tina. If you've just tuned in, thank you so much to all our audience members on Facebook
Yes.
and YouTube as well. We see you. Keep the comments coming through, and we're going to get to them in a bit. I've got a question here. I loved how you mentioned and used the analogy of the banknotes. It made so much sense. Just studying the real one instead of spending so much time trying to find out
Yes.
what's fake. What's fake keeps changing. You're gonna
All the time.
all the time. With everything that's and how time moves. Sometimes when we connect to Wi-Fi, a source,
Yes.
it buffers sometimes, and maybe the those bars become weak. Maybe there's one
Sure.
or two, and the connection is so slow. I think it's one of the worst things I hate when you're watching something and it's
Oh,
only moving.
Mother
witnessed
buffer.
it.
Your buffer- It's like, when is this part gonna end?
Yes. Yes.
It takes so long. I so much switch it off. I just get so irritated and
Yes.
frustrated. Which leads me to this question that I want to ask. Realignment implies sometimes returning to a proper or intended course. What steps can we take to realign ourselves with God's will and His purpose, especially when we feel disconnected or even off track?
Yeah, I'm gonna steal Rick Warren's acronym that he used because I thought it was beautiful, and he uses the word trust, and he says the T is tell God exactly how you feel. I don't know. We live in a world sometimes where we're not allowed to say what is on our heart, and the
Yeah.
Bible is very much open to telling us. He already knows anyway.
Absolutely.
God already knows that this is hard for you. So
Mm.
just tell him this is horrible. I don't like it. I don't understand what is happening right now. I trust you, but I'm still telling it to God, man. And I'm
Yes.
voicing what is in my heart. Lamentations 2 verse 19 says, cry out in the night, pour out your heart like water in prayer to the Lord. Yeah, no, that's a lot of tears if I think about pour out in water.
Yeah.
Psalm 62 verse 8 says, trust in him all times, you people. Pour out your hearts to him, for God is our refuge. So he's not scared of your feelings, man. So when you find yourself disconnected, tell him, Lord, look here, man. I don't feel close to you.
Yeah.
I feel whatever you've done, if you've made it created your own situation, it doesn't matter. Just tell him, I don't like how this feels. I don't like that this person left me. I don't like that this friendship had. Just tell him.
Yeah.
So the first thing is tell him how you feel. The second thing is very important is refuse to become bitter. Because when you find yourself in a very dark season, we actually heard something on Sunday and I thought, wow, what a perspective. This guy was talking about Psalm 23 and he says, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, he said, what's up with David walking, man? He's like, if I'm in the valley, I wanna sprint.
Yes.
David's like, I'm walking in the valley. And I thought, wow, I never even thought about it like that. But that's what we want to do. We want to run away from it. We want to remain bitter. And God is like, don't become bitter. Look to me. I still have the answer. Just don't make your heart so hardened that you turn your way completely away from who he is. Job's perspective is, he said, look here, man. I had all of these things, but I came into the world with nothing.
Yeah.
So if I leave with nothing, I still have God, man. Now, no one wants to leave with nothing. I don't know what we think when we die, they're going to put our house in the coffin. I don't know what it is. But you came with nothing. God brought you on this earth. Just trust him enough to know that it's going to work out. So don't become bitter. It's very, very easy. This one I like. It says the U is unite with people who will help you focus on God. One of the worst things we can do sometimes is isolate ourselves. There is a time where you take time aside in solitude, but there's times when you isolate, you shut
Yes.
yourself out from the world, you close the door, you don't get out of bed. And we just need to sometimes hear someone else remind us of the goodness of God. Now, I'm not saying do it immediately, because sometimes when something just happened,
You want to hear it?
now someone come with the scripture like, look here, brother.
Not now.
Now it's not, but you have small groups in churches or you have a group of friends. Have friends that talk about God, when you go out for coffee. So they can keep you, so they can keep you connected to God. And then S is surrender my future to God. Job 2 verse 9 says, Job's wife told him, are you still trying to maintain your integrity? Why don't you just curse God and die? And Job says, you talk like a godless woman. Should we accept only good things from the hand of God and never anything bad?
Sure.
Look at Job is like, but we live in a world where, and I don't want to mention his name, but there's a famous rapper that said, I've done all of this stuff for God. I gave him my life. I've done this, and he's given me nothing in return. And I was like, But then why are we doing what we're doing? And it's not just him, it's us.
Yeah.
We do things with this intent that God must give us back.
Yeah.
If God gave you nothing back, are you still going to serve him, man?
Mm.
Are you going to serve God just because he's God, or you serving him because you want him to give you things?
Yeah.
Then we need to check our heart, then our motive is wrong. And then the T stands for trust Jesus for every detail of my comeback. We know how Job's story ends. It's a hard story. It's a terrible story. But God gave him the greatest comeback, man. So
Yeah.
for us to realign ourselves is always to keep ourselves focused on God. Even if you are gone 10 years away from the Lord and the
Yeah.
devil is trying to make you feel guilty, don't listen to him. God is waiting for you. The prodigal son, God waited for him. He ate with pigs. He was at the lowest of his life. And God still accepted him back. God still said, come home, my
Yeah.
son. So there's nothing that you have done that is so bad that God cannot accept you back. But you need to make that first step.
Mm.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I felt like I was preaching
No,
there. I apologize.
I felt like you were preaching, girl.
Apologize.
Listen, if you are relating with this conversation, let us know on the WhatsApp line as well as Facebook and YouTube. We're going to go to a quick song break and then we're going to wrap up the conversation. We're chatting to the Cupidos, talking about pivoting, realignment, and discernment in changing seasons. Do you find yourself in a setback? Are you, finding yourself in a dark season and you're going, how do I carry on? What do I do? Well, this conversation is for you. 061 798 1075.
98 1075.
CCFM. I love this program. It has touched my heart, it has touched my soul. You guys are awesome. I love what I'm hearing. And I wish more people can tune in to CCFM. We need this world to change. And CCFM is the station for change. I love you guys.
Thank you so much, Mr. Charles. Beautiful message. Beautiful messages coming through as well. We see you, Mavis. We see you, Trevor. We see you, Ricky, as well as Facebook and YouTube. The comments are coming through. Again, have a look at our YouTube and our Facebook page. That's 107.5. We do have the Cupidos in studio. Very, very relevant conversation. We're touching on changing of seasons, realignment, and discernment. And of course, like I said, you can always join in on the conversation, 061 798 1075. And as much as we don't get to read every message or play every voice note, please note that Tina and Craig get to listen to this after the program and, of course, respond if and when they can. Moving on with the conversation, the third one, in fact, is a very interesting question. But before we do that, the track you heard was Mercy Me. It's titled Even If. A beautiful song. That one was a selection by Mrs. Cupido herself.
That song, woo, me and that song can tell stories for days.
Edwell agrees. Edwell says beautiful, beautiful song.
Absolutely. I think we're going to move on. Thank you so much for the messages that keep coming through. We're going to move on to the next question. If you've just tuned in, of course, this is Talk Time with Tina. The Bible often, contrasts wisdom from God with worldly understanding. How does discernment bridge the gap between the two?
Okay, yeah. So when we think about discernment, if I just look at the definition there, it says it's the quality being able to grasp and comprehend what is obscure, an act of perceiving something, a power to see what is not evident to the average man. And it also stresses accuracy. So it's about the ability to actually see truth, man. And spiritual discernment is the ability to tell the difference between truth and error. And it's sort of the basic to having wisdom, man.
Yeah.
And that word wisdom is obviously very important, but it has to do with wisdom and the ability to distinguish truth from error. That thing that is discernment, man. So when we think about wisdom, we can see it as the ability to discern or judge what is true, right, or lasting. Knowledge, on the other hand, is information gained through experience, reasoning, or acquaintance. So knowledge can exist without wisdom, but not the other way around. So you can be knowledgeable without being wise. But when it comes to worldly wisdom and godly wisdom is one that is pushing us towards knowing God so that we can honor Him.
Yeah.
Where worldly wisdom is, look, I'm learning certain things, there's education, there's things, and we're not saying there's anything wrong with it, but the main intention is that I'm actually going to glorify myself with that. So that's sort of the distinction between the two and how we use it. But God actually wants us to have knowledge of Him and what He expects from us. So if we know Him more, we're able to obey better. Tina was also talking about what is actually that thing that we have to know. And again, the challenge is for us, how do we then live? So it's not just about me having the knowledge, knowing the scriptures, but am I actually living out the scriptures? Right? So let's say we have that wonderful muffins over there, right? So I know nothing about making muffins. So I can have knowledge, I can Google something about how to make muffins, and I have the ingredients, right? I get the knowledge, that's fine. But when it comes to wisdom, is like, how do I actually then make sure that I put it together in a way that you will actually have a smile on your face? Am I able to? I know about folding in the eggs and doing all of these different things. Yes, yeah. I can sound like I know things, but the important thing, guys, is also truth, man. And we're living in a world where truth has really become that subjective thing. My truth is my truth. And like in your story, and thank you for your story, you can get to that point sometimes where you like justify that maybe this is the truth that this is where I need to be now, and my voice is God's voice, and I'm hearing, okay, fine, this is what I need to do. But at the same time, you're putting up everything in your face to say like why you need to, and then you get to the point where you say, there's actually a lot of peace in the purpose.
Yeah.
And you maybe
Wow.
had to go around all of that,
Yeah.
and you look back and you say, look, I actually now have you helping someone out there to say, look, I actually have the knowledge, and also the wisdom, because I've applied it for myself and understand. Same thing with us in our experience.
Yeah.
We help small businesses, for example, but we had an experience of failure.
Sure.
But in that failure, we're able to learn and say, look, how are you going to pivot if something happens?
Yes.
Are you just going to stand there, and go down into your hole, whatever the case may be? So that's sort of the difference there. James 1 verse 5 talks about, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. And God blesses us with wisdom in order for us to glorify Him and use the knowledge we have of Him. So the challenge is, how are we using that wisdom, or the knowledge at least, to glorify Him and actually apply it. And when we're applying it, that's when we're actually using wisdom. So there's a lot we can actually look at in terms of scriptures and things like that. Proverbs 16 verse 16, if you read Proverbs, there's a lot on it. How much better to get wisdom than gold, to get insight rather than silver.
Yeah.
So what are those things that we're actually seeking, and that we're truly seeking? Are we really doing that? And that's sort of the challenge to us, I think, as Christians as well. Are we really seeking God and all He is? And are we actually applying those things? Because we can sit in church Sunday after Sunday. You can get 1,000 messages on WhatsApp. You can wake up to your daily, you version, and but what am I actually doing with that? And I think that's obviously the challenge for us. So I hope that answers the question around the two, that making the distinction. It's really about honoring God at the end of the day from a godly wisdom point of view.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't even want to say goodbye anymore because this conversation is so good. We got a couple of voice notes, but I know you want to just say something as well, Rome's, just before we go to the messages.
Yes, thank you so much for the messages that keep coming through. We definitely do appreciate them. And you can keep sending them through on that WhatsApp number on 0617981075. I think we also have a voice note. That's what I wanted to say, coming through on the WhatsApp line.
Good afternoon, Romeo and Natasha, and hello, Cupidos.
Hi.
I absolutely love this show. I feel like on Tuesday afternoons, I get to reset my mind, my body, and my soul. You guys have got me having aha moments to crying the next week. Thank you so much. Love you guys.
And that's the aim. Mavis also coming through saying, I agree 100% with the previous caller. CCFM is my favorite station. God richly bless all the presenters. You guys are all like family. Thank you so much. The number ending in 0246. Wow, Tina, that was so blessed. How do I get in contact with you? We're going to ask for those contact details in a bit. And then Ricky also coming through saying, I'm really enjoying the conversation. Thank you so much. Also, a couple of messages coming through on Facebook as well. Michelle Solomon saying, exactly where I'm at. Thank you, Cupidos, for godly wisdom. Debbie Demas, preach it.
That's
Love
our
it.
mommy.
I was going to say, I think that's mom. And
Ellen,
then, and then the number ending in 4242 saying, very blessed program as well. Mary Joan Ray van Veek saying, so on point. And Taz also saying, hello, Tina. Hello, Cupido and Craig Cupido. Thank you so much.
Yep, thank you. The message is still coming through on the Facebook line as well. Got Michelle as well saying, exactly where I'm at. Thank you, Cupidos, for godly wisdom, for sharing godly wisdom. And Gary coming through as well saying, I'll be driving and will continue to listen as I'm moving for the radio. Thank you so much for being part of this conversation of impacting lives and changing it. I think when I go back to that question that we had earlier, talk time with Tina, how do we contact you? How do we stay in touch?
Yes. Before I say that, Craig just said something, man, that I think sometimes, we are good people. And when I say we, I mean as Christian people, right? We are good. And we do all the right things, but sometimes our heart, we don't actually know the content of our heart. And the content of our heart is sometimes we are really seeking the things that God can give us, man. And the Bible says out of the treasures of your... What is it? Out of the abundance of your mouth. Something like that. That flows the treasures of your heart. Something like that. And if we are truly, 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 truly honest, we can ask God to help us discern what is really our intent in serving Him. And just make it all about Him. And you're not a bad person if your intent was, Lord, I really needed this from you. Because God provides for our needs. But if He didn't provide that need, we still need to serve Him irrespective of, man. So I just want us to get to the point of seeking that wisdom and discernment for ourselves within our heart and be honest with where our heart really is. We don't not love God, we don't not serve Him, but just like, why are we serving Him? But anyway, I digress. Cupido Consulting on all social media platforms. And then if you want to contact me, you can email me, tina@cupidoconsulting.co.za.
In case you missed out, you do want to catch it, you can definitely catch it. We are going to be on Facebook, so you can watch it. I just see some messages while saying, I'm sorry, guys, I missed it. How can I catch this again? Don't worry. We've got you covered. You can watch the video on our Facebook pages as well. Talk time with Tina. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everybody.
We have, of course, a few bills to pay, and then in the next few seconds, the news with Larry Wannenberg Solomon.
More for less.